Hey everybody, Dietric Williams with Info on the Go, the show where we provide tips, tricks, and insight on helping you make the best informed decision on whether you're going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in Southern California. If that sounds interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell so you're notified when I upload future editions onto YouTube. Happy New Year, everybody. 2020 is gone. 2021 is now upon us. And as usual, every year, I always get bombarded with text, emails, phone calls, Facebook messengers, the whole 9 yards. And people always tell me, Dietric, this year I'm ready to buy a house. And I have to take a step back because what you're saying is so broad, right? And so I'm a firm believer that if you're going to accomplish any goal, you have to make it a SMART goal. Now, if you're not familiar with what SMART goals are, SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So let's just go through that real quick. And I'm going to show you how this relates to your real estate plans and your goals. Specific. So to say you want to purchase property this year is so broad and you have to fine tune it down. How many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms do you need? If you're single and it's just you, maybe a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo is perfect for you. But if you're engaged and planning on starting a family pretty soon, obviously a 1-bedroom, 1-bath is not going to cut it. You may need a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And with us being in COVID right now, and if you're working from home, you may need office space. So maybe a 3-bedroom is what you need. So we have to be really specific about what we want. You also need to know who's going to be involved in the process. Is it just you who's purchasing? Is it you and a friend? You and a potential spouse? Is it you and a family member? We have to be real specific. If you're going in on an investment property, maybe you want to partner with another investor so that you split both the risk and the reward at the same time. So again, just being really specific about who's involved in the process. And then one of the questions that I like to ask is why? My mentor, Eric Thomas, always says if your why is not strong enough, when life comes throwing punches at you, you're going to get knocked out every single day. And so I like to ask why. Why do you want to purchase this real estate? Why do you want to purchase this property? And I'm going to use that why as motivation so that when things get a little bit difficult, I'm going to remind you of exactly what you told me your why was so that we can get over that hump. So again, see how we went from very broad to I want to purchase real estate this year to where we started kind of whittling down and being very specific about the types of property we wanted, who was involved in the whole 9 yards. So you can get as granular as you want on this, but you have to be specific in order to be able to accomplish this goal. Because just saying I want to purchase real estate this year is not going to cut it. You and I know that everybody makes New Year's resolutions at the top of the year. And most of the time they quit because they didn't really have a goal set. So for example, I want to lose weight. Well, what do you want to lose? Do you want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds? Are you trying to lose 50 pounds? What's your end game? What's really the goal? But if you just start off really broad and don't whittle it down and be very specific, when things hit and life does hit, things may get a little bit inconsistent and throw you off track. More times than not, people that don't establish a clear-cut specified goal are more apt to quit than not. Next, we want to track and measure everything. So in this instance, let's say we want to save money for the down payment, but you're going to need more than money for the down payment. You're going to need money for the down payment, for your closing costs, and some of those incidental fees that are going to come up, such as a home inspection and an appraisal. So we have to figure out what it is that we need to save. So we got to be really specific about what that goal is, right? So how much are we going to save? And then how are we going to measure it? So you may have to create a budget to help you figure out where you may need to cut costs at so that you can reach the goal of saving for that $10,000. So I'm just using this as an example, right? The 10,000 is an arbitrary number. So don't think you have to save 10,000. Again, I'm just using that as an arbitrary number. But we want to establish that goal, and then we want to set up systems to put in place so that we can reach that goal as we track and measure it. Now, during the process, you want to set some milestones. Maybe it's every $500. That's a milestone for you. And when you hit those milestones, you want to celebrate. Celebrate the small wins, because those small wins are going to keep you motivated to continue on. And remember, I told you, life is going to come through. And if you don't celebrate the small wins, those little bitty losses are enough to make most people quit. So we want to celebrate the wins to keep that motivation going to get us closer to that goal of home ownership. Is the goal attainable? Can you reach the goal? Is it something that's going to be impossible to do? So for instance, if you have no money and you have a FICO score of like 300, you're probably not going to be able to purchase a property next week or maybe even the month after that. It's probably going to take a little bit of work. So we have to be realistic in terms of what we want to do. Consequently, you may be a 5-figure earner that has no debt at all, but it might not be enough for you to purchase a property in Brentwood or Ranchos Palos Verdes. Those are very high affluent areas where even your 5 to 6-figure salary may not be enough to get you in the gate for those residents, right? So again, we just want to make sure that we want to set the goal so it's challenging, but we don't want to make it so hard that it's out of reach, because once it seems out of reach, again, more times than not, people who set those high goals that aren't realistic, when they can't reach them, they'll quit. And we don't want that for you. We want you to accomplish that goal of home ownership, right? So that's part of my job, is to help coach you through the process and get you over the hump. So relevant. This goal should align to other goals that you have in your life. So for instance, if you want to be a traveling artist or a musician, it's probably not a good idea to jump into home ownership if you know that you're not going to be around 80 to 90% of the year. That's probably not a good goal for you to be a homeowner at this time. But if you want to create passive income, buying a multifamily home or rental property directly aligns with what you want to do to create that passive income. Again, we just want to be consistent about the goal so that we can accomplish one at a time and see some traction and momentum, because that again will get you one step closer to the goal of home ownership. And then finally, time bound. You need to set a deadline to when you want to accomplish this. And you have to be very specific when you set that deadline. Saying that you want to buy a home this year or that you want to purchase property this year is almost like saying you want to take a bath next week. Well, when are you going to wash your, funky arms, sir, madam? When do you plan on doing all of that stuff? So I'm saying that jokingly, but very, very seriously, that you have to set a deadline and stick to it as best as you can. Now, can some things come in and throw your deadlines off? Of course they can. Many of us set goals at the top of 2020, and then in March, our plans totally got derailed. We had to pivot and change some of those goals up. So your goals are probably going to change throughout the course of time, but as long as you have a deadline in place, it helps you to really stay focused and utilize your time and your resources to the very best of your abilities. Okay, folks, so there it is. You're going to jump into home ownership this year. That's your plan. You're going to have to be very specific. You're going to have to measure and track everything. Make sure that the goal that you set for home ownership is attainable. If you're just starting the process off, you're not going to be able to go out there and purchase a $3 million property. Well, maybe, but most people aren't ready to do that, right? So you just have to make sure that your goals are attainable. And then they have to be relevant to other things that are happening in your life. If you have goals that are set all over the place, you're going to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And that's the very best way for you to wind up accomplishing nothing at all. So we want to make sure that we are doing things that are relevant in terms of our home ownership goals. And then you have to set a timeline. I know that's probably a little scary, because when the time gets closer, if you haven't reached that goal, sometimes we feel like we failed. I definitely want to let you know that's not the case, because your goals, again, timelines are going to change. Things happen, life happens. We are in a season where life is happening all around us, and we have to change goals almost weekly or monthly based on things that are happening right now. So set your goals, set your timelines, but understand that there may be some wiggle room and all of that stuff. If you follow this process, and it's just one part of the process to home ownership, I'll talk about the other processes in a future video. And in fact, you can check some of that stuff in this video right here. But if you follow the process, I can almost guarantee you, you will be a homeowner before you know it.